So, babe, I'm filming. Can you leave me alone? Give me like 5 minutes, okay? Guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know, I'm Kathy, and I'm be doing a little get ready with me slash Q&A because I didn't want it to be so boring. I wanted you guys to ask me questions. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am 24 years old. I currently live in Oakland, California, and I have a 9-month-old baby boy. Me and his dad, because I can't say my husband because we are not married. His dad and I have been together for 7 years. Well, we're going on 7 years. I went to college for 4 years in LA. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, I feel like. So I have really oily skin. I don't know, since Omega Repair Cream. It deeply moisturizes it, so it's like. And answer the first question, which is what's the easiest and hardest part of quarantine? So the easiest part definitely has to be being able to get on a schedule. With the baby, it's really difficult for me to just basically put him to sleep at a certain time and, you know, feed him at a certain time. And I think that's been one of the easiest things to do, because before, going to sleep at whatever time, and I definitely think that has been one of the easiest parts, and it just allows me to make my own schedule, and it allows me to, you know, eat healthy or work out. I haven't been able to go out to eat and do all that other stuff that's unhealthy for you or whatever. And yeah, I think that has been the easiest part. The hardest part definitely has to be running out of things to do with a infant that's almost a toddler. My son is 9 months old, so he is able to basically do a lot of activities, but he still gets bored here and there at times. Like, how has it been living in LA and the town? So for those of you that don't know, I moved to LA in 2014 when I graduated high school, and I lived there for 4 years. Okay, so I feel like I didn't appreciate living there because I was so young. To answer that question, I wish I would have loved being there more. I wish I would have been older and more mature, and I would have been like, you know, open to like going places, because I wasn't. And LA is beautiful. Like, there's so many different things to do over there, and I feel like I was so stuck. Like, well, first of all, you know, my boyfriend was back home, and my main thing was like, man, I can't wait to go home. And like my summers and like my winters, like when there was no school, like I had to go home. So I definitely regret that. But it's super nice. I have been thinking about like maybe, you know, one day moving with my family, like just us three, just going somewhere out there in LA. Did you plan on getting pregnant? I actually didn't. Let me just say that I definitely felt like I wanted a baby eventually, but to just wait a little bit longer. But I wasn't on birth control. I hadn't been on birth control for like since January, and I got pregnant in October. So
I was like a firm believer of like, if you have been on birth control for a lot of years, if you have been on birth control for a lot of years, then it will take you a long time to
get pregnant. That's what I thought, but I was wrong. So use protection. Tell us about your college experience. Uh, okay, that is a good one. Uh, so I like I said mentioned earlier, I wanted to be independent. So now that I think about it, I don't regret it. I'm so happy that I moved, because I'm not sure how my life would be now. Um, but my first 2 years, I was so depressed. Like, when I tell you guys, I was so sad. Like, I would call my mom all the time. I had a horrible college experience my first year. I lived with the most dirtiest girl, my friend. That whole year was hell, because we would tell this girl, like, hey, like, you need to clean up after yourself. Hey, stuff, like, guys, like, her fucking room smelled so bad. Like, it was so disgusting. And I was just over it. I remember the whole roommates housemate situation was very depressing to me. Like, I wanted to go back home. I wanted to live with my mom again. And like, my mom kept telling me, like, you're fine, like, stop. So I remember my second year, I had already went to, like, different, like, colleges that I had got accepted here. I was like, whatever, if that's what it takes for me to move and start over and not be dealing with this and going and living at my house, then so be it. Like, I was like, whatever, like, it doesn't matter. So thankfully, one of my really good friends was like, no, dude, like, you should not move. Like, you should move with me and my housemates. Like, so I ended up moving with her. And thank God I did. Thank God I did. So one of my tips is, if you want to move away from your parents, go for it. Just do it. My craziest experience while in college. Whew. I had a lot of crazy experiences. Honestly, I had a lot, but let me just tell you guys about one experience that was just crazy. And it was the time that I found one of my friends on the floor. No. I found her on my bed, bleeding, like, to death. No, not bleeding to death, but went to the grocery store, and my friend had told me she was gonna go running. So I was like, okay, cool, have fun. I have to go buy groceries, or, like, I had to go buy something. I'm not really sure what I went to buy that day. I think I went to buy food or something. I know it was, like, related to food, of course. So I went to buy food, and I came back, right, and no one was home. I didn't think anyone was home. So I opened my room door, and my friend was laying there with her towel on my bed, bleeding. Like, all of this was bleeding. And so I ran to her, and I'm like, what happened to you? And she was literally, like, unconscious. Like, she looked at me and she was like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, you tell me, what happened to you? And she was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what happened after that. And she was like, I don't know. And so she gave me her phone, and she was like, my passcode, just unlock it and call my mom and ask her what I should do. So here I am. I unlocked her phone. I called her mom. I drove her to the hospital, to the ER. And as I was driving her, she was like Dory, literally acting like Dory. Like, she just kept saying, like, what happened to me? What happened to me? And I kept telling her, like, you fell, I'm taking you to the hospital. And then she would be like, okay. It was just the same thing all over again. So when they were able to help us finally, it turns out that she had got a concussion. She basically fell on the tub. So I guess she had went on a run. She didn't eat anything. So she had fell on the tub and then became kind of unconscious for a little bit, and then walked to my room to tell me that this had happened, and I wasn't home, so I guess she like knocked out again. I don't know what happened, but luckily I wasn't gone for that long, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, so she had got a concussion, and I remember she knew who we were, but they had to scan her head and see what happened. So when she came back, like, she didn't know what had happened, and she started crying because she didn't know who was there. So it was really scary. She didn't have to do her finals, which she got freaking lucky, but it was scary because that whole night we were like writing things. Like, we would write to her like, this happened, um we already told your mom, make sure like you do this and you're okay. Like, we had to keep writing her notes. So at the end of the night, like, she had like three different like cards like saying like, you're good. Like, it was like a 51st dates type of shit. Like, I don't know if you guys watched that movie, but that was like one of the craziest experience. It was funny, it was scary, but I mean, I have more, but I think this was one of like the funniest and scariest. Having more babies soon. Yes, I done. I want to have one more, only because Julian, I want my baby to have a sibling. So the answer is yes. I don't know how soon, but like maybe in like 2-3 years, something like that. We'll see. Next question. What's your favorite thing that Juju does right now? I have a lot of favorite things. I think he's getting to that age where he just copies everything that we do. And I think it's really interesting and funny how he does whatever like we do. Like, I was teaching him how to say like what the duck says, like quack quack or meow, mama, and like things like that, and he is getting it. So I think it's funny. And um he also dances now, so it's the funniest thing that sometimes I'm like watching a video and he's just like minding his business, and out of nowhere he just like starts dancing. So I think that's like, those are like the main, like my main favorite things that he's doing right now. Would you go back in time and change anything in your life? um I don't think I'll change anything, to be honest. Like I was saying about LA, things happen to you and they lead you, years later you realize that like it happened for a reason and you're thankful that it happened. So I definitely would say I wouldn't change anything in my life. If anything, I would try to more out there. Like, I would be more open-minded about like making new friends, or like, saying hi to someone, or like just being, it wasn't that I'm shy, I was just very like selective with people. I don't know. And I feel like now, after I had a kid, like after Juju, I feel like everything changed and I'm more out there. I decided to actually be, I feel like he changed me into being like more me. Like, I decided to make my YouTube channel, and that's something that I thought about and I should do it, but it was nothing that I like, nothing pushed me or motivated me to do it. So I would definitely say just being more out there and being more myself. And you know just how much does a relationship change after moving in? um I honestly think your relationship does change. There was things that we had to definitely get used to, and that was more like cooking and cleaning. I think it definitely does change, but you decide if it changes for the better or for the worse, because I have heard a lot of people just aren't used to that person and they don't know that person. So once they do move in, it's like, wow, like, I did not know you were like this. After a baby, how much does your relationship change after a baby? Everything changes. Like, let me just tell you, I am not gonna sugarcoat and say like, oh no, like things, no, everything changes. Like sometimes we go to the movies, we talk about is Julian, which isn't a bad thing whatsoever, but it's a good thing to just have some time with your partner before a baby comes, and be able to experience things out of it. Because me and him, like, we've been on trips before. The answer to that question is like, yeah, your relationship, it changes a whole 360. Like, your relationship will change, girl. Like, so how did you guys pick out the name Julian? So to be honest, we wanted a name that was basically, we wanted a, so we picked out Julian because both of him and my family speak Spanish, so we wanted him to have a name that they were going to be able to pronounce. Like, we wanted both of our families to be able to pronounce his name, so it was just something that we liked and something that they were able to pronounce both in English and Spanish. Because yeah, that's basically the answer to that question. I feel like my wing never comes out the right way. Okay, next. Did you go through postpartum depression? Thankfully, I didn't go through postpartum depression. I'm very blessed to not have gone through it. My in-laws were always checking on me. Like, my mother-in-law especially, she was always checking in on my mental health and always making sure that I was good and that I felt good. And she offered a lot to just watch Julian whenever I needed a break. I remember the first month, which is like the most difficult month, and let me tell you guys, like, that first month after you had the baby, it's hard. Like, it's so hard because you're not used to having a baby. You don't know what you're doing. Like, there's so many things going on. And the answer to that question is I didn't suffer from postpartum depression, but I did have the baby blues, and I had a hard time breastfeeding and just everything that had to do with breastfeeding. So I remember one day I was just so over it. And you're feeling sad, but it's just you randomly start feeling like you're sad and just feel lost. You feel worried. You feel like you're not doing like the right thing. You feel like you're failing at being a mom. It's just you can't even help but like think about your baby and feel bad. And I remember feeling like, why did I bring him to this world? Like, there's so many bad things happening. Like, I'm so selfish, or just things like that, which is like not in your control. Like, you literally just think like the worst, I feel like. Tell us about how long distance dating was. Let me tell you. Me and my man, we had been together for like a couple of months when I decided to go to college. And it was crazy because I was so, why would we even start a relationship if I'm gonna move away? And what people say, like, things are gonna work out and we're gonna break up. So let me tell you, dating when you're like in a long distance relationship is super difficult. I think we had our breakups, we had our times that we were like, like, this isn't working out, like, we're just gonna need a break, or what, like, it's just not, this is just not it. But I definitely feel like if you guys are both in love and you guys are both in it because you love each other, then you're good. Like, okay, so was it hard being intimate with your partner after the baby. So it was definitely hard getting used to just having a baby and having time, finding the right time. So I feel like as long as you have someone that's very okay with, like, you know, letting you pick the time when you're ready and stuff, then you're good. Because, you know, you have to be emotionally there, physically there, and I know at times, like, us women, like, we have a baby and we just, like, don't feel the same anymore. So I would say it was definitely hard, but everything is an adjustment. Career choice, path towards it, next steps. So my career choice when I went to school was criminal justice. All the, like, there was no way I was going to do anything else but criminal justice. And I recommend everyone, if you are planning to go to school, don't be like me. I was so close-minded. I didn't take any other classes. I was straight to the point, like, I'm here for this and this only. And it's not a good thing to be like that, because you miss out on a lot. And I think maybe there was other things that did interest me that I didn't know about, you know, because I decided to go with the first thing. And so I felt like I didn't have, like, any choices, and I didn't really know. And plus, coming from Oakland, it's like you see that all the time, like violence and all that. So that's what I wanted to help people out. And I'm wearing Poly Cosmetics in the shade Mocha. Was in sociology, and because my major was in criminal justice, I ended up minoring in sociology because I had to take the same classes. I did try to apply to different jobs that had to do with both, but one of them that caught my attention was being a mental health counselor. Basically a therapeutic school, and we were able to provide different services, which were able to help kids that had more needs, I would say. And that's something that I saw myself doing in the long run. And the nonprofit that I was working at just gave me the opportunity to look at different jobs. And I'm now interested in, I want to go back to school eventually and get my master's. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that. And yeah, that'll be the end to my video. So make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.